Late one night, a husband and wife are lying in bed. The wife hears a noise. She says to her husband, you know how she does it, nudge it. She goes, I think I heard something out back by the shed. You need to go check this. Well, the guy kind of gets groggy, gets awake, and makes his way downstairs. And he looks out back, and sure enough, it looks like there's somebody rummaging around inside their shed. So he picks up the phone, calls 911. And when he reaches the police, he says, look, I think there's thieves in my shed out back. Can you send somebody over? And the dispatcher says, well, there's no one in the area and no one available right away. We'll get to it as soon as we can. So the guy hangs up his phone, counts to 10, and he calls 911 back. And he says, I called just a little bit ago about thieves in my shed out back. You don't need to worry about it anymore. I got my gun out and I shot them all. And within a matter of minutes, there's like 4 police cruisers that come pulling up, and they run back to the shed. They find this guy there, and they arrest him, make their way inside the house, and the police officer says, I thought you said you shot the person in the shed. To which the guy replies, I thought you said there was no one available. A crisis has a tendency to get our attention, right? People are a whole lot more alert when there is a crisis afoot. Well, this week we're examining the topic of alertness on transforming the world. The Bible actually has an awful lot to say about this particular characteristic. Jesus instructs his followers to remain alert. In Matthew chapter 24, verse 42, he says, so you too must keep watch, for you don't know what day your Lord is coming. Now, one of the ways that you and I, as Christians, are to remain alert is to anticipate the Lord's second coming. In this whole section of Matthew chapter 24, Jesus is warning that when he does return, his second coming, when he comes back, it's going to be to judge the world, not to save the world. The first time Christ came, he came to be the Savior. The second time he comes, it will be to judge the world. And he alludes in this section to the story of Noah. He's just like it was back in Noah's day. People were living their life as if there was no catastrophe, no looming catastrophe. And Christ says it's going to be the same way just prior to my second coming. He will return like a thief in the night. Jesus is going to return when he is not expected, and the wicked will be taken away. That's the lesson that he teaches here in Matthew 24. But the lesson in Matthew chapter 24 is not addressed to the wicked. You see, this is a lesson for you and me. This is a lesson for the righteous. This is a lesson for the church. If we know that Jesus is returning, if you and I know that Christ is returning someday, one day, we have to act as if this is true. We must be alert, constantly aware that at any moment it could be that Christ calls the church home, and then the judgment begins. And so in verse 44 here, Jesus, looking at his disciples, he says, you must be ready all the time, for the Son of Man will come when least expected. So to be alert, if you were to take a look at a dictionary, alert's described in a few different ways. In one particular way, to be alert is to be diligent, attentive, and watchful. But as a verb, alert means to warn someone of a danger, a threat, or a problem, typically with the intention of having it avoided or dealt with. So it's the alert Christian who warns the world of the coming judgment because they anticipate the Lord's return. They're alert to it. They may not know when, but they live with the understanding that tomorrow it might be too late to take that gospel message to your neighbor or to your coworker or to your friend. So Christ teaches us to be alert and to share our faith with a sense of urgency. That's one particular understanding of what it means to be alert. Alert, watchful. living with the anticipation that Christ could come at any moment. And if that's true, if we believe that, since it's true, we should be alert, and we should be sharing the good news of Jesus Christ with a sense of urgency, because, as I said, tomorrow it might be too late. We'll continue to examine the idea of alertness tomorrow. Hope you can join me then. My name is Pastor Greg, and this is Transforming the World.